Hi everybody. Today I've got one of Victor's audio files that I don't believe I've done a reversal on before. When I found this file and started to translate it, the first thing I thought of was, gosh, I'm not hearing anything at all from this one. So in the initial phases of translating it, I thought that maybe the angels did not want me to translate it yet. Yet I didn't give up easily and thought I would see if there was anything in reverse. So I reversed the file and started hearing context in the first phrase. As soon as it stopped making sense, I copied the reverse content and reversed it, which now made it forward speech. As soon as I did that, the now forward part finished the sentence that was in reverse. This is how the entire recording went, and I guess it is what you call a reverse point quantum reversal. Don't let that worry you though. It makes much more sense than what I just said. Some of you may have noticed that I posted a video called Swedenborg 101 from the Swedenborg Foundation, so others can see the similarities that have been happening with me for the past 20 years. Every time I review something he has written, it confirms to me that I'm connected to the same channel of angels that he was. The difference being, for the most part, he was able to see and hear the angels communicating to him. With me, I'm able to hear and document the angels speaking, so others can hear them as well. Even though our circumstances may be different, the majority of what he wrote about is confirmed through my work. Yes, I believe he was right on the money when it comes to how God and the angels communicate and what they are saying. There is an incredible amount of hidden powers when it comes to frequency and vibrations, and much of them relate to the soul and eternity. Some of you may think that his writings may have had an influence on what I've been doing. That's wrong, because I didn't even know about him until I did my DNA test in October of 2019. Because he was high on the list as one of my ancestors, I researched him a little bit. When I did, I mentioned that I was concerned that he spoke of hell and evil spirits, because we have heard from the angels that hell does not exist. After further and more recent research, most of his followers believe that he did not mean hell in the same way that most people think of it. He speaks of hell as a hellish or more evil place that exists outside of heaven. In other words, it's obvious that heaven is passionate about loving, compassion, and the goodness of God. Yet when we die, depending on where we are at, our soul gravitates to the frequency or realm that we were at in our past life. So if we were an evil person, in our next life, we would be attracted to those who are evil. And we would have to try again to evolve enough to move on to the more loving and heavenly level. So that is kind of what he meant. And hell is not a burning inferno that we would go to for eternity, but more or less a similar place with similar loved ones that we chose to be attracted to in the previous life. So no matter what, God does not send us to a place that we do not want to go. The last thing I'd like to say is that even though I have not let Emanuel's writing influence my experiences in the past, now that I know how his spiritual work pertains considerably to what is happening to me, I would like to make reference to them in some of the videos I'll be doing. And this will be the first one I'll be doing in this way. I would also like to thank the Swedenborg Foundation for giving us a better understanding of his work, and hopefully they won't mind if I use some of their text slides that come from Emanuel's writings. Before I do that, let's get into what Victor was channeling from the angels in this recording. In part 1 he says, "It's nice if maybe I'll submit it with some emotion. It's all the stuff that they must find passion in. So Ryan must know there's help. We also have this lesson that involves a friend's conference that's starting. And you must know the plight was right. What's up with Chuck? And yet, all of you are so fortunate we have published some rules. When Ryan must give what we've selected, it tells me that this will make it right before it finds evil."
Yeah.
So this paragraph comes from Emanuel Swedenborg's The Secrets of Heaven, and it says, "The angels through whom the Lord leads and protects us are near our head. Their job is to inspire neighborly love and faith. They also watch the direction our pleasures take, taming them and bending them towards good, so far as our freedom allows them to do. They are not permitted to act violently, breaking our cravings and our assumptions, but must proceed gently." Did you notice in that part how Emanuel said that the angels are by our head and not in them? He believed, like I do, that the angels are with us all the time on another plane of existence. He talked about how they try and influence us in good ways to help us become a better person. It's kind of like saying something bad to someone when we get angry and realizing we shouldn't have. If we can tap into what they are saying beforehand, perhaps we can prevent it from happening in the first place. It's interesting how Emanuel said that the angels must proceed gently, and they can't really try to change us all at once. That's also kind of like it's been happening to me over the years. Often they will guide me slightly in a direction, and once I get there, move me on to something else. In part 2 of this recording, you can try and pick up on some of the ideas that Emanuel testified to in the way the angels are communicating to us. The difference being, you have the actual proof right in front of you, or should I say, next to your head if you're using headphones. In part 2 he says, "Like in the Guinness Book of Records, if the effort made was right, you'll practice whatever you decide is the mission." So he does know what evil you do. Usually, he'll accept your introduction. If the visitors question the truth of something, it is quick and often cocky. Sometimes they'll use a naughty comment to cause something atrocious to happen here, so they can make a fight. Ryan wants you to know if it works. You look at their vision of viewing this. Allude to them. They're giving you a trial for a profit. If they saw what's a better picture, they'll just study as a new way to encounter some friends. And so, this blockage won't cause issues in here for Ryan. So that was another interesting prophecy that Victor was channeling from the angels that's happening right now. I believe he's talking about those who may want to introduce themselves, but for some reason are not saying anything in the forum. Perhaps they are worried about the ones that may come and try and cause problems, or there may be another reason, who knows. So the angels let those who are watching know that those who do come here with evil on their mind and try to cause fights should more or less be ignored. If one falls to their level, it's like that person is considering what they are saying and putting me, I guess, on trial. Then he finally acknowledges those who are not saying anything and lets them know that it will not be an issue in here if they remain silent. When he mentioned the Guinness Book of Records, he encourages me to continue doing what I'm doing until I reach my goal. One thing I know for sure is, I'll never be on the same level of brilliance as Emanuel was. He was a Renaissance man, similar to Da Vinci. The only reason he is not as well known is because after he had his spiritual awakening and began experiencing the angels, he took the spiritual path, and like me, most people thought he was crazy. The truth is, he was hundreds of years ahead of his time in many aspects relating to science. Perhaps there is a lesson to be learned there. I don't know for sure. But I do know the angels are leaving it up to those watching to make their own decision, and that is a choice that God gives us throughout eternity. So in this next paragraph, Emanuel says, "Evil spirits have sometimes pushed evil and falsity on me, and at those times I've sensed angels, empowered by the Lord, holding me to the truth that had been planted in me. In this way, they withheld me from the evil and falsity. The experience also showed me that religious truth that is rooted in us by a desire for truth is the plane angels operate into. It is also worth mentioning that angels actively surrounding the religious truth we know is rarely noticeable. Rarely do they stir explicit thoughts about the concept at issue. Rather, they inspire a general awareness of notions that buttress that concept, along with the connected emotion. The angels work by exerting an imperceptible influence which, when presented in visual form, looks like a stream of light. The light consists of countless truths within goodness that encircle a single concept we possess, maintaining us in the truth and at the same time in the love that goes with it. So angels lift our minds out of falsity and protect us from evil." If you've been following my presentations over the years, you'll definitely be able to witness the angels as they interact in the ways that Emanuel described. Just recently, they talked about streams of light that come from heaven and how they can protect us from evil. One of their main goals is to present us with God's truth as well. In the last part of what Victor was channeling in this recording, he said, "They shouldn't listen if their portal is relying on what will seek evil. Ryan will hear it when there's truth, and he'll acknowledge it. He'll show courage and strength in who's having the lesson. Although we won't want it, we acknowledge your lessons. The angels resist the issues that seek that sin. There's a lot of things here we cherish that are good for you, and nobody watches it. With philosophies to caress, it's good to see who's having them. You'll see that the one that hears the lesson isn't able to look at deceit and watch it victorious in darkness, and answer with philosophies chosen from this lesson. It's often a solution by a prophet to convene and to reduce these passing conflicts in here. The Philadelphia mystics enriched an industry and seized inertia of a mission. It's releasing a message by accepting the tyranny that's there. Watch the views and you'll see if they still get this pleasure resisting. So tell us your thoughts that's in being friendly." I think there's a lot in that last part that needs to be expanded upon. When I first started hearing the angels speaking to me over 20 years ago, There were times that I would hear things in the translations that concerned me, and I used to think that the files got corrupted by evil in some way. Whether I wanted to admit it or not, there were spirits that I had to block out. I did that by always thinking, is this what God would say? Or if it was something bad, I would stop and go back another time. I don't have that happen to me anymore because the connection I have to God and the angels is much stronger than it was back then. So that is why I tell people that if you try to do reverse translations, I don't recommend it, unless you can block out and tune in on the right frequency to heaven. I also forgot to mention in a previous part of this recording they said, "What's up, Chuck?" and then mentioned something about rules. Perhaps they're talking about Chuck Schumer, who is in the process today of getting the Republicans to come up with some fair rules for the impeachment of Trump. Or maybe there is somebody watching whose name is Chuck. I think what the angels are trying to say here is that if we go someplace to seek out the evil in something and not look for the good, then it's sinful, and they resist that type of morality. However, if we encourage something evil, then it becomes part of us. I'm not really sure what he's talking about in the last paragraph in regards to the Philadelphia mystics, unless they mean the birth of spiritualism, which began there with the Fox sisters. Looking into that a little bit, there was a lot of mystics that came out shortly after that, and most were frauds. Even the Fox sisters had issues and denounced spiritualism at one point. Even then, spiritualism became a new religion that went worldwide with millions of people. Lastly, he talks about views. Most of you know that when I post something in the forum, there are some who are waiting for it, and as soon as I post, there are several people watching within seconds. What most of you don't know is that there are more views on the Angel Squirrel's website than in the forum. Here you can see them. Usually the recordings don't get posted in there for a week or two after I post them in the forum. So if you want to hear them as soon as they come out, it's best to go to the forum rather than the website. This completes this presentation. If you like what you see, please subscribe or visit our website at theangelsquirrels.com.